Welcome to our first of the season coffee chats. We'll have several of them throughout the next couple of months. Today's topic is going to focus primarily on Handshake. And so if you're newer to your role and or newer to the Handshake platform, this is really going to be a great time for you to learn and take a deeper dive into Handshake and learn from our experts who are joining us, Tori and Jenna, about just how to engage from the perspective of both an employer as well as a student. So I'm going to go ahead and kick us off with introductions. Hi, I'm Courtney Walker. I am our Associate Director for our Employer Relations team here at Arizona State University Career and Professional Development Services. I'm going to talk here shortly about what that all means and what it means to be on the Employer Relations team. But I'm going to actually ask my colleague Jenna to go ahead and introduce herself.
Thank you, Courtney. Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. My name is Jenna Figuero, and I'm a Career and Industry Specialist with Career and Professional Development Services. And I work really closely with our students and alumni of all backgrounds to help make sure that they are career ready so that they can keep working with awesome employers like you all.
Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria Dybel. I'm a recruiting coordinator on the Employer Relations team with Career and Professional Development Services. Part of my role is I'm more employer facing, so I would help employers all around the globe help strategize and engage with our students and our alumni.
All right, so as I had alluded, again, today we're going to take a deep dive into Handshake, just talk about some general tips for recruiting, maybe introduce some different strategies that you may have not thought of before. And then we're going to also preview just how students use Handshake, and we really want to give you an insider's look about how we're talking about Handshake with our students and the tips and tricks that we're offering to them as well. So just to set the stage, wanted to share our charter at ASU. It's really important to us as staff, this charter, and really being able to share it to all of you because it really presents the way that we operate and just exactly how we work with our students and our employers and our alumni, especially right now in the type of social climate that we currently all exist within. It's really important that we measure ourselves by whom we include and how they succeed, and not who we exclude. And so I know this is especially relevant to a lot of the work that all of you are doing, especially in the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion. But I really wanted to make sure that everyone had a chance to view our charter and really understand that when you choose to recruit at ASU, you're recruiting from a university that truly understands and is really invested in the whole student and the whole experience of the community, and invested in making sure that we are a part of all of it. So just to continue on why the choice to recruit at ASU is a good one. You can see some statistics in front of you. We're especially proud again at the fact that we're ranked #1 for innovation. And we could not do this without our students and without employer partners such as yourself, giving the space for our students to be able to create. And without our students and our alumni, again, we would not be able to be ranked #1 for innovation. Again, it's really a testimony to who our students are and their investment in making sure that they're able to problem solve. They're provided opportunities for research-based activities, again, to be able to exercise that skill set for innovation. And so it's definitely a ranking that we're particularly proud of because it carries over into the workforce. It carries over into everything that they do post-graduation, whatever that is, whether that's workforce or even continuing their education. So again, it's definitely one that we're particularly proud of. Also, when you choose to recruit at ASU, you have access to over 120,000 students, as well as over 500,000 alumni. And especially inside of the Handshake system, you can access all of those different individuals, which again, we're going to talk about here in a second, but your candidate pool is that much bigger because of how many students and alumni we have. We also have a diversity of spring 2021 hiring events. So I know that Tori is going to tackle that here in a second. But we were very intentional, and we do want to make sure that you had access to as many events to be able to engage with our students. And our events are based on industry, so hoping that you found the industry that is the right fit. Furthering, ASU is ranked #1 in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates. Again, our rankings speak for themselves, and it's a testimony to the work that our students do and the work that they do post-graduation as well. And then, of course, again, because we have such a large population of students and alumni, we also have a large population of students that have diverse interests. So you can imagine with that many individuals, we have that much diversity within that population of students and alumni. So when you choose to recruit at ASU, you have access to those student clubs and orgs, which in a different conversation, or if you choose to meet with us, we can talk through what it means to navigate within our Sun Devil Sync, which is where you can find all of those student clubs and orgs. And then real briefly, I wanted to just cover how we can support you in employer relations. And also mention as well that in CPDS, so we are the university-wide career center. So we serve employers across all industries, and we support students across all majors. We also have partners across the university that work exclusively with business partners, business employers, as well as engineering employers. And so if you are looking to exclusively recruit business students and/or engineering students, we would connect you with those specific career centers and our partners in those career centers. And so they do the breadth of the work that we're going to talk about here today. But again, they connect directly with those respective student populations. So you can see, again, we engage with employers. We really want to work with you to develop a strategy about how to engage with our students, how to build your brand. We want to make sure that you've identified the right student population to recruit from at ASU. And sometimes that means you want to recruit all majors, and sometimes it means you want to recruit only a subset of those majors. And so when you connect with us, we really talk through what your opportunity is and really develop a strategy around that opportunity. Also, we work, the CPDS team works exclusively within the Handshake system. So when you post a job or you post an internship, then you are going to receive communication from our team. And so we are the team that reviews and vets every single job and internship and employer in the system. So if you've not already interacted with us through that way, then there's a good chance we're going to connect here in the future. And I believe I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tori.
Perfect. Thank you, Courtney. So I'm here, this first slide, we're going to talk about kind of like an overview of Handshake and kind of why, when, and how to use Handshake, especially in your recruiting practices and during like your recruiting season. So first, just talking about like overall why using Handshake. So very similar to as you start wanting to recruit at ASU, Handshake is kind of like the first place to recruiting at the university, getting connected with our students and our alumni, and also like Courtney mentioned, getting connected to those different career centers as well through the platform. Very similar to like on the student side is, especially once they confirm their acceptance into ASU as incoming freshmen, we do try to push them to join and create a profile in Handshake, so that way they can not only do research, look at opportunities that are best fit to them and align to their professional goals, but also building these authentic relationships with different organizations and different employers. So it's a very similar process, kind of like the student side, but on the employer side, especially with Handshake. When to use Handshake, especially as I have these conversations with different organizations, first keeping in mind of what your recruiting season is. So especially if your recruiting season's a specific time of the year, or maybe it's all around, just depending on the different departments and your level of need with those departments. Embedding Handshake into like that recruiting process definitely will help with not only engaging with our students and alumni, but it also is a great way to start doing your brand recognition, such as informing students that you're hiring, you're engaging in some type of capacity. And then also just keeping in mind of the different populations, especially when using Handshake, like Courtney mentioned already, once you join, we do have a big group of current college students and alumni that are actively using. So keeping in mind of that population, if you're targeting, like, for example, like soon to be grads or those that maybe have gone out of school for at least 6 months, keeping in mind those different populations as well. And then also, how to use Handshake. So some of the common tips, especially being organized and planning ahead. So keeping in mind what your recruiting season looks like. And especially once you kind of realize what your, and confirm what your recruiting season is, being organized and planning ahead is very important. Planning ahead will keep you very organized through the entire process, from starting to post opportunities to your website, different platforms such as Handshake, to providing those job offers to students and professionals. So first, like kind of planning ahead, just know what your recruiting season is, giving yourself enough time to post these opportunities to these different platforms. So once you submit it for approval at ASU, our employee relations team vets all opportunities that go into the platform. So keeping in mind that it takes us at least 3 to 5 business days to vet individual opportunities. So keeping that deadline in mind. So once the posting is approved, it immediately will go live to Handshake for students and alumni to apply. Giving yourself enough time to promote this opportunity, whether it might be through messaging, through emails, through communication, such as if you're hosting professional development events or if you're attending an upcoming hiring event. You can also promote those opportunities in those different spaces. And then also too, if you're having deadlines, such as once you post a job, you have a deadline of when you start conducting interviews, reviewing applications. So making sure that those deadlines are at the forefront of your mind. So that way too, is as you know these deadlines are coming up, you can kind of do some last minute outreach, last minute engagement efforts, just to make sure that you're getting the talent pipeline you're looking for, you're getting the amount of applications you're hoping to receive. And then next, kind of invite different staff members to join, especially these that have different job titles. So opening it up to more than just HR and talent acquisition, maybe offering it up to hiring managers or department managers. Also, like alumni is a great way, great staff members to join the platform, because these different staff members can use Handshake to post jobs if they're going to be hosting developmental events or attend hiring events on your organization's behalf. You can set those permissions up for them, so that way they kind of know how they can use Handshake based off what your recruiting experiences look like. And then lastly, going above and beyond just doing more than just posting opportunities to Handshake, because a lot of our students will go in and do research besides just posting and looking at opportunities that meet the kind of like their interest and their field interest. They're also looking to see what additional employers are doing. So when they view an employer profile and they see that, oh, you are posting job and internship opportunities, but they can also see that you have a couple upcoming information sessions, coffee chats, developmental events that they can attend, or they can also see that you're registered to attend a couple of hiring events as well. So your company profile will be a great way for students to see, besides just posting, what you're doing as an organization to engage in, meet with different students and develop those authentic relationships. Next, we're going to kind of talk about Handshake and kind of do a deeper dive of the platform. So I'll kind of do like a view of the employer side of Handshake, so that way you kind of understand kind of like what the different tabs are as an employer, what you can do in Handshake besides just posting, and then overall how Handshake can support your recruitment efforts through your recruiting season. So first, especially as we're in this new normal and we're kind of navigating, especially with COVID, digital outreach and digital presence has been very important, especially kind of being in this virtual/hybrid model. So especially if you haven't already, continuing to grow and expand your digital outreach is very important, just because it is important to note that we do have a good amount of students attending in-person classes, but a lot of our students are still in that virtual modality. So especially if they can't be on campus, engaging with them in that virtual space will definitely help with their overall recruitment efforts. So digital outreach can range, such as like your company website. So students going to learn more about your organization, what you do as an organization, your different departments, how they work logistically. Your careers page as well. If you have like an internship program, just information on your website where students can get more information about the different groups, different programs, different opportunities that they can learn more about. Also using your social media platforms to promote either whether it might be opportunities that are currently vacant, future opportunities that you might be posting in the near future. And then also using the social media to promote upcoming events, such as if you're doing like a virtual coffee chat or you're attending upcoming hiring events that students or alumni can attend. This is a great way for you to kind of promote those opportunities. And then also using, like, for example, like Handshake is another one, and we'll kind of go more into deeper dive of how to use Handshake in your recruitment efforts. And then also like company blogs or employer newsletters also is a good way for students to just see a bigger overview of what current opportunities are you looking to fill, what internships or part-time jobs might be available for them, and also for them just to see as an overview what your company is doing to engage with students, especially if it's more in that virtual or hybrid type of model. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna share my screen, and what we'll do is we'll kind of walk through the employer like view of Handshake, and we'll kind of discuss those different tabs that you can use to help kind of support your recruitment efforts and how you can kind of start developing authentic relationships with our students. Okay, perfect. And then if I can get a thumbs up just to let me know that you can see my screen. Perfect, thank you. Okay, so when you log in as an employer, this is like your homepage. And I feel like this is a great activity snapshot to see as an organization, what are you guys doing this semester or upcoming that you should kind of plan ahead? So if you have jobs that are currently approved, if you have upcoming virtual interviews that you're going to be hosting, you can also check and see what kind of upcoming events you're hosting, and then any upcoming hiring events that you are registered for will also appear here as well. So this is a great activity snapshot as an overview of your organization to see what you're doing, how you're engaging with students. And then also this is a great way to see, like, if you don't have any upcoming virtual interviews or you don't have any upcoming developmental events, maybe thinking about how we can kind of, you can promote or kind of gain in that space and become more expert as well. Next, I'm going to move into the company profile tab, because I feel like this is very important to kind of implement and update as you kind of continue recruiting at ASU. So especially if you have access to view the company profile, I always recommend to update this at least every 6 to 8 months or every semester, just because a lot can change with their organization, and a lot of information that you share with students will be updated over that course of time. So it's just important to make sure that any information you share with students, especially if it has been updated since the last time you've shared that information, making sure that it also reflects correctly in Handshake. So just making sure that your address, your industry, if you have a certain amount of employees, making sure that all that has been correct. Any contact information, so making sure that your link to your website is working, students are not are able to view that. If you have an email or a phone number or even both, making sure that those information is updated, so that way if students have any questions or if they want to reach out to your organization to kind of start developing that relationship, they can either contact by that phone number or by that email. Or if you have other links such as LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, anything that they can kind of get more information about your organization. Just making sure that information is correct and updated, so that way if a student wants to reach out or kind of look at your social media platforms, it's easy as a one click, and then they'll be redirected to that appropriate location. And then just looking at the view of how many jobs are currently posted. So just making sure that any of the jobs that are currently active, making sure that if they have been filled to remove them, so that way students don't apply for a position that's already been filled. If any positions need to be extended, you're able to extend that an additional 90 days just to make it more attractable and kind of see if you can get more applications and more interest from students. And then lastly, something just very important to note is especially your public staff list, at least maybe considering maybe adding 1 or 2 staff members to this list, because the public staff member list is a list of a couple of the staff members that can be contacts for your organization or represent your organization. So if a student reaches out and they want to learn more about your internship program, or they want to learn more about an opportunity, and you might have a lot of staff members added to your Handshake account, or you maybe have a lot of different employees depending on what their permissions are, they can contact one of those public staff members directly, and then that person can help direct them to the appropriate contact, answer their questions or concerns in that timely manner. So especially if you have a big organization or have a bunch of users that use your Handshake, possibly think about adding 1 to 2 public staff members, so that way then they can kind of represent your organization or be the point of contacts in case students reach out directly with any questions. Next, I'm going to talk about in the relationship section how to search students, because especially as employers, you may not be aware, but each recruiting season you are able to message up to 100 messages for students, and there's 2 recruiting seasons per year. The first season goes from January 1st to the end of June, and then the beginning of July to the end of December is the second recruiting season. So you are able, as an organization, you do have 100 messages that you can directly message students based off their organizational fit with the opportunity, or maybe to promote some upcoming developmental events or hiring events that you are either attending or hosting on that students can join. So just to kind of do a little overview, the filters side on the left side will be kind of help guide you and determine what different students you can message, or based off kind of the qualifications or prereqs that you already have set. That can help you kind of guide you and kind of develop a more confirmed, cohesive list of students that will fit based off those requirements. So I always recommend just to search by school, because as you can see, we have about a little bit over 137,000 students, just ASU alone, that are actively in here. So if you're searching by different schools, that can be tricky, especially depending on what your relationship looks like. So just first doing ASU, these other requirements such as like school years. So if you are looking for sophomores, freshmen, juniors, seniors, we also have alumni as well. So you can search by school year, especially if it's something that students can apply while they're in school. The next 2 different sections, major category and majors. So I kind of want to take a moment to just kind of emphasize what the difference is between these 2, because they can vary differently, and they will kind of vary your jobs or your student search based off the prereqs that you have. So major categories these are just a cohesive list of major categories that Handshake put together, that all these different majors at different universities that use Handshake, they kind of create a cohesive list of all these different majors that are offered across different institutions or universities. So that's one way you can search, but the other one, majors, that's a more individualized list by each institution or by each university. So the majors tab right here represents all majors that ASU offers, whether it might be in person or online. Whereas the majors category is just a list of all the different majors across all different institutions or universities that use Handshake. And these are the common major categories that Handshake has developed. So that's something important to keep in mind, especially if you're searching just by the university itself, by ASU. Using just the majors tab, it will definitely help you a little bit more, just because those are all the majors that ASU offers for our students. And then the other tabs like graduation date. So especially if you're looking to connect with maybe soon-to-be graduates. So for example, like our May 2021 graduates, our alumni that maybe been out of school for like 6 months, you can set graduation preferences. Or if it's maybe someone that's in like their final year of school, you can set those graduation preferences just to make sure you engage with that different population. And then I wanted to emphasize GPA. That's also another category or filter you can use. So especially if your organization has GPA requirements for different opportunities or different programs, I always recommend to include that here, because if GPA is something that can prevent a student from moving forward in the interview or hiring process, it's very important to have that addressed early on, just so that way then you can make sure that the student met that GPA requirement. So you can do a range, you can do, if you want to do from like a 3.0 or higher, you can set those preferences up that way. And then the other important one is just primary college. So especially if you're looking at different colleges that at ASU, you can search by that. So we have like the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, we have IRA Fulton School of Engineering, W.P. Carey School of Business, College of Integrated Science and Arts. So just a few of the different colleges that we have. And then I'm going to provide you an example. So my supervisor, Courtney Walker, here is her profile. So when you kind of find a student that you're interested in messaging, or you kind of want to start developing a relationship with, you can view their profile to get a little bit more about their background, what their education looks like, their skill set, and then this is also where you can message the student directly. So as you can see, we do encourage our students to put profile pictures just as more of that professional component to it. You can see that she attended ASU, her grade year, when she graduated, her GPA, the college that they're with. And then you can see as well all the work experience that this student has. So you can see what they've done in the past as well. And then any organizations, extracurricular activities, or if they secure any certifications or any courses that they take while they're in their undergrad. All that information will appear at the bottom under their past experiences. So you'll see more information there. And then if you scroll up, something important to keep in note, earlier when I mentioned that as an organization, you get to 100 messages per student per recruiting season. That represents the organization as a whole. So if you have, for example, 5 different recruiters that are able to message students directly in the platform, all those 5 recruiters will be kind of in that group of how many messages you have left. So that's something to keep in mind. Your replies will be here. So if, for example, you have 3 recruiters at your organization that are messaging students, and you yourself can confirm that you've sent 10, and then your 2 other recruiters each sent 10, the amount that you have left will appear here. So for example, if you use 30 out of your 100, it will say 70 messages are left. So that way you can kind of make sure you plan your schedule accordingly. You can schedule your messaging accordingly. And that way too, depending on what you're outreaching to students, you can make sure that is appropriate. And then here's where you'll send the message. So once you want to send a message to the student, however, with that, what you want to include, you'll click send a message. I always recommend, especially if you're sending a message directly to students, making them very personalized and kind of making sure that you're taking the time to view the student's profile and kind of showing them why they would either be a good fit for the opportunity, for the organization, or if you're maybe promoting an upcoming hiring event that you're attending or promoting an upcoming professional development event, you can do that in the body of the description. So especially when you're sending a subject, this is kind of like the template that you can use. I always recommend that as an employer, as a recruiter, you include your first and last name, just so the student, it kind of has the name of the person that's reaching out to them, your organization, and then something along the lines of kind of like why you're messaging them. So for example, like mine would be Victoria Dial from Arizona State University has sent you a message on Handshake about an upcoming opportunity. So that way they know it's more for a job opportunity. And in the job description, mentioning like you viewed their profile, they were a good fit based off like maybe the organization or the opportunity. And then also including maybe like at least like 1 to 2 at the very minimum reasons why they'd be a good fit for that opportunity, just because then that creates that personalized piece of you took the time to view their profile, you took the time to review the job description. And this is kind of like a way of telling the student that they'd be a good fit based off these qualifications or based off this information. So that way, then if it's something that they are interested in, or maybe they want to learn more about, they can view the posting in Handshake if you're doing an upcoming like professional development event or attending an upcoming hiring event. Also including that information in like the message. So that way, if a student wants to meet with a representative at the hiring event, or maybe message to a recruiter or the one that's hosting the upcoming professional development event, that student can attend those events, meet with the representative to help kind of build that relationship up. But also too, this is just a great way for the student to know that they're on your radar regarding your organization. So for them, they can kind of feel the nudge to maybe do some more research about your company, see what different opportunities that they might be interested in. And that way too, you can kind of start that relationship from there. And then besides just the student view, especially in the meetings tab here where we have like events on campus and fairs, I believe these are very important, especially in your recruiting processes, just because especially if besides just posting, the events on campus interviews and any fairs that you attend will appear on your company profile. So that's one important thing to know about, is especially any events you're hosting, whether they might be virtual, or if ASU is helping you host these virtual events, it will appear on your profile. Any upcoming on-campus interviews that will be conducted virtually, they will be attached to any job postings that you attach to that interview. Or if you're just hosting just some virtual interviews, students will be aware of like when you'll be hosting those. And then Also, I want to kind of just talk about the fairs tab a little bit more. Like Courtney mentioned earlier in the chat, this semester, and especially last semester too, we are making our hiring events more industry focused, because our goal is we wanted to give not just employers but the students the opportunity to find the industry that best align with their career goals, their career interest, and kind of overall what they want to do upon graduating from ASU. So I always encourage us to take a look at the different upcoming hiring events that we are having, because we do have a few different career centers at ASU that will be hosting these different events. So I always actively encourage to review these, kind of get more details about each event. And then from there, reviewing your recruiting season and kind of looking at the different populations you're looking to target or engage with. And then kind of finding that best fit based off what the different events that we have. So that's also a great way, like I mentioned, because if you register or attend these events, they will appear on your company profile. So as students RSVP for these different hiring events, so say for example, a student's attending our upcoming internship fair and they see that your organization is attending, they can review and see what different internships based off Handshake in your company website that you may have open. So that way they can kind of come prepared and maybe talk about some of those internships they might be interested in. But also too, with these fairs is, especially since they'll be conducted virtually through Handshake, we will be using Handshake's video and audio to support the technology. So if you haven't attended a fair that has been hosted through Handshake, Handshake offers group sessions and then one-on-one sessions too. So one of the great things, especially with these upcoming hiring events, you still get that personalized piece of group setting and one-on-ones that you normally would get in like in-person career fairs or hiring events. So that personalized piece is still there, which is great. And then for fairs, especially when they register for fairs, employers can host up to 3 group sessions per fair. And then they also are able to schedule as many one-on-ones as you would like, especially if there are a bunch of students that are interested in meeting with a representative from your organization. So especially if you are interested in attending an upcoming hiring event, please plan accordingly and stay organized, especially too, because it has changed a little bit since our in-person fairs, because especially being virtual, you will have to create your schedule, both your group and one-on-one schedules before the actual day of the event. So I do encourage, if you are interested, to register as soon as possible, but also to making sure that you have the support from like representatives from your organization, and then also making sure that you give students the time to learn that you are attending an upcoming hiring event for them to RSVP to either a group session, one-on-one, or both as well. So let's see. Okay, so I think that's pretty much what I had. So Jenna, I'm going to pass it back to you. And what Jenna is going to discuss, she's going to kind of provide like a student perspective of Handshake. So let me, Jenna, let me get you switched back to there. Okay, and then Jenna, I'll let you take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you, Tori. Yes, so we're going to do a little overview of how students are using Handshake. We're going to do a quick glance at job and internship searching and the filters that we use there. Also, the importance of employer research and how I advise students to be doing their research on employers. And then also talking about the importance of attending those employer-led events. So let me go ahead and pull up my view for you all. All right. So when a student logs into their Handshake profile, this is what they are going to see. They have everything they need right in front of them with jobs, employers, community, career paths, everything like this. So when you come over here to your profile, students can click their profile, and Tori just showed you what it looks like from your end. So now from the student's perspective, same information, just a little bit different format. But there are some key pieces of information that we really do encourage students to include on their profile for it to be considered 100% complete. So we always encourage that they start with their journey a little bit by sharing about what they're studying, what they're interested in, and maybe where they are kind of in that process of, am I looking for an internship? Am I looking for a full-time job? Things like that. Of course, their education will be included in here. They'll be able to tell if their profile is visible to employers. So that's really helpful. We always encourage students to fill out this section of their interests. So I'm not looking for a job, including their job interests, cities that maybe they're interested in working in, roles that they could be interested in, and then including their work and volunteer experience. Now, the more they include on their profile, the more helpful it is, hopefully, to you all, especially as you're reaching out to students to know if they're going to be a good fit. So all of these components are really necessary for a student to have a full and complete profile. We also encourage them to list their skills here too, because we know that this is something that employers are always looking to see, okay, what proficiencies do ASU students have? And so this is an area that we really focus on as well. In addition to uploading resumes, really encourage them to get their completed and critiqued resume up on their profile, in addition to those organizations, extracurriculars, courses, things like that. So assuming they have incorporated all of these elements in some capacity to their profile, it's considered complete, and hopefully showcasing them as the best possible candidate for the opportunities that they're seeking. So once they've completed their profile, then we'll move over here to jobs. And so when students start looking at and applying for different opportunities in the platform, this is kind of how that format shows up. Now, because we have so many opportunities in this platform, we really encourage students to be using the filters to find opportunities that are going to be the best fit for them. And this is why it's so important as employers to make sure that you're including as much details into your position descriptions and into your Handshake postings as possible. So for example, if I'm a student looking for an internship, I can select this filter, narrow down all of my options that much more. And then specifically here under all filters, you'll see there are a variety of other filters that students can select to find opportunities that are the best fit for them. So they can even look for specific job roles that might be of interest to them. They can select industries. So this is one area that I often encourage students to use if they're trying to narrow down their search results a little bit, is to try to find opportunities within specific industries. Now they can select more than one industry as well, so they're not limited there. It just makes the pool of opportunities a little bit more targeted to their interest. They can also narrow down by employer and major, work authorization, and things like this. And so we really encourage students to use these two just to find opportunities that are more custom tailored to what they're looking for and what their career goals are. So for example, say we want to look at the nonprofit industry. It's gonna narrow down our results. We can even narrow it down to location here. Now, when students are searching for opportunities here, they can search for keywords, they can search for specific occupation names, employers. I always tell students too, any language that you search for is going to populate responses not only that have that language in the job title, but also somewhere within the job description. So I could be searching for healthcare and it would bring up positions that have healthcare in the title, but it's also going to bring up any role description that has healthcare embedded into that too. So if you're trying to really speak to a certain population of students or showcase keywords or skills that you're really hoping that students would have, I would encourage you to embed those in those position descriptions, because that's going to be one of the best ways for students to find those opportunities. And the more details you give, the better. I do know that our students love that when they have a little bit more insight as to what they're applying to and really what this organization is going to do to help them grow professionally as well. So more details, the better. Another avenue that I want to show you all real quick that we do highlight is this employer research section for students. So under jobs, you'll see that there's sections for them to see saved jobs, their applications, and then employers. I often redirect students to research our employers that they are interested in connecting with, especially if these employers don't have, a ton of active postings, or the student knows they want to work with this employer, but they don't know how to find their postings. And so similar to how you filter jobs, you can do the same thing with our employer search, narrowing it down by employer size, by industries. And like Tori mentioned, making sure that you keep your page up to date too, so that you're finding students that are really looking for the types of opportunities that you have to offer. So say we want to look at Google, for example. We know that's a big company. We can look at their employer page. So if we pull up their employer page here, it's going to show us just an overview of the organization as a whole. It's going to show us some highlights from the reviews. So they're a large company. They've been known to be collaborative, supportive, have a flexible work environment, things like that. It's also going to show some employee perspectives because they have a very filled out employer profile, right? Give a little bit of about information, and here's that contact information. So they've made it so that it links directly to an email, a website, and their social media. Students also have the opportunity to ask questions and have them answered through this platform and see what jobs are featured on Handshake on this platform. Now, I know Tori also mentioned the importance of having a public staff list. So I would reiterate making sure that you have some contact available for students to reach out to if they have specific questions about the employer or about the posting, things like that. We do also encourage students to connect with other students who have worked with that employer, hear about their experience, and really see what did you gain out of the experience too. So the more filled out your profile, the more likely a student is to engage with it because they feel like they know you more as a company or an organization. And so this is definitely an avenue to kind of look into and make sure you have all of those pieces filled in as well. Perfect. So the last piece I want to highlight is our events page. So we do offer so many events and so many employer info sessions and panels and developmental events for our students. And again, we can use filters for these too. We can look at our career fairs that we have upcoming. We can see all of our virtual events. Students can see their saved events and start building out their schedule. So as I start to register for certain events, they're going to show up here and I'll get reminders about these events too. So if you are attending one of these events, the employer will show up within these hiring events, and they'll also show up in any other employer info sessions, panels, things like that that might appear under events. Students can also see, okay, what's going on this week or this month, and have a little bit more of a glimpse into kind of upcoming events that they could join and participate in. So I know this is a lot of information, but just a quick overview of some of the most popular spaces that students occupy when they're using this platform and really gaining valuable information on postings and the employers who are looking to recruit those Sun Devils. So with that being said, I will pass it back to you, Tori.
Thank you, Jenna. Get my screen back. Okay. So before we open it up to questions, I just want to reiterate, thank you for everyone who has joined our first coffee chat of the 2021 year and also the spring semester. Just some important events just to keep in mind in the upcoming few weeks. Like Courtney mentioned, we will be hosting another coffee chat and a couple more over the course of the semester. Our next one will be on March 1st from 2 to 3 p.m. So it'll be the first Monday of March. And the topic of the coffee chat will be building your virtual brand. So we'll talk about some tips and best practices to building your virtual brand. We will have some like resources to share with you all. So that will be a great topic to discuss. We will be sending out invites for this in the next couple coming weeks. So if you or if any staff members or any additional representatives would like to join, feel free. We do have our ASU employer guide following our event today. I will share the link to the employer guide, the link to our upcoming coffee chat. So if any staff members from your organization that want to attend, feel free to share the information with them. Just please make sure that each individual representative will have to register to get the details. And then also just to keep in mind, it is February, so ASU's recruiting season has officially kicked off. So just to keep in mind, we do have our first event on next week, which is our internship fair on February 12th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So if you're interested and want to learn more about the different the event details, feel free to check out in Handshake. That will be where all the details are at. So I wanted to end it first by thanking you all for joining us in our coffee chat. Now we're going to kind of open it up to questions. Feel free to use the chat feature to answer your questions. But here is my contact information. So the first one is my personal contact information, which is my email, my phone number. So you can reach out if you have any questions. Or also, if you have any general questions for employer relations team, I didn't provide our email and our phone number there as well. So if you have any questions or concerns, we will definitely help assist you in there. And then next, I'm just going to leave it open to questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Well, if you don't have any questions, I would like to thank you all again for taking the time to join this session. I will be sending up a follow-up email with the link to our Up Next coffee chat, a link to our events in Handshake, so you can get more information about the different hiring events that are going to be hosting this semester. And then if you have any questions, I will have my contact information on the email as well. So feel free to reach out at any time with any questions about Handshake, when I connect to strategize on engaging with students as well. But I hope you guys have a great afternoon. Thank you. I hope you have a great first day of February, and I wish you guys the best of luck and hopefully you have a great week this week.